The attack on Siri, a brutal beginning. The alien commander's head exploded in a shower of viscera as Fleet Commander Adrian Cole's powered titanium gauntlet smashed through its skull. Adrian surveyed the smoldering ruins of the Siri mining colony, rage boiling inside him. The valiant miners had been slaughtered by the ruthless Zyper invaders. His brother, Neil, was among the captured, facing unimaginable torment. Adrian turned to the shaken miners, steeling their nerves for a desperate pursuit. Humanity's very survival now rested on their shoulders. They had no idea if their ragtag force could face the vast Zyper armada, but they had no choice. Adrian would tear the galaxy apart to rescue his brother. The Zypers had no concept of the hell they had brought upon themselves. Adrian and his battleship would show them why you never, ever anger humanity. Interrogation. Adrian grabbed the Zyper's neck, pinning it to the cold metal wall. His other hand held a jagged metal shard ripped from the broken controls. He stared into the alien's wide, fear-filled eyes. Its chest rose and fell fast, breath rasping, fear thick in the air. "Where's the mothership headed?" Adrian's voice rumbled gutturally in the tight bridge. The Zyper clicked its mouthparts, trying to spin lies. Adrian pressed the shard to its throat. Blue blood trickled where the sharp edge bit flesh. Zeta Reticuli, it finally hissed, defeated, for the harvest. A cold shiver ran down Adrian's spine. He nodded to his team, faces hardened by loss and fury as they manned the consoles. They had boarded silently, efficiently, taking the scout ship. Battle-worn uniforms showed their resolve. The pursuit. "Set course," Adrian ordered. A team member pulled up star charts on the alien controls. They slipped away, the scout now a Trojan horse for humanity's hope. Adrian watched stars blur into lines as they sped up. "Zyper patrols incoming," the pilot murmured, hand steady. "Match their signatures, act natural," Adrian responded, eyes fixed outside. They wove between patrols, skirting detection, blending in. Adrian tensed at each close call but held firm, trusting his crew. Stealth and strategy. An alarm suddenly trilled. Searching for human warmth, the crew member warned. Cold pulses from the ship countered, mimicking lifeless space. The team worked in sync, focused and precise. Time bent around their urgent mission. Zeta Reticuli bloomed into view, the mothership's monstrous silhouette eclipsing the distant sun. Adrian felt the weight of their task, galvanizing his spirit. They approached, disguising routine, a scout returning to the hive. The chance to strike, to save lives, to avenge losses on Siri, was within their grasp. Infiltration begins. Lieutenant Sarah Kim watched the mining colony. The Terran Vengeance's guns stood sentinel, her crew fortified in the ruins. Hammer strikes echoed defiance as they welded barriers and gun nests. Sarah's orders were clear. Hold the line, secure the future. Hope for Adrian, hope for humanity's revenge. The scout ship docked, whisper quiet. Adrian led his team through the hatch, weapons ready, resolve iron strong. Why humans are never to be angered, a lesson Adrian Cole intended to teach. The silent infiltration. Learning the controls. The ship controls were foreign, strange beeps and symbols covered them. But Maria started figuring them out. Her fingers flew over the controls, typing in codes they stole. One wrong move would make them stick out, but they had to take the chance for the miners. For Neil, for all humans. Sensors say we're still unseen, Maria said sharply. Her eyes stayed on the screens, searching for problems in the dim light. Blending in, James worked to match their ship's signals with the other Zyper ships. His hands moved precisely, patching in stolen tech to hide their human signatures. "We need to talk like them too," Adrian said. Their language was hard clicks and buzzes. For hours they listened, repeated, practiced until they sounded just like them. No mistakes allowed. The hack. Adrian looked at Jonas. He nodded, their quiet signal. They were set to hack their network. Sweat shone on Jonas's forehead as he started the secret break-in, invading their communication veins. The link worked. They were in. Relief filled the cramped ship. Then they heard them. Jumbled Zyper voices talking about a planet. A dig. Their people alive, tools for their evil plan. Anger burned, but they kept control. A desperate plan. We board the mothership, free Neil and the others from their claws, and make the Zypers regret ever touching our kind, Adrian declared. Adrian, James whispered, getting his attention. They're holding them on the planet below. We've got the coordinates. Adrian's jaw tightened with resolve. We hit them where they don't expect, straight into the mothership. Get ready for a fight that'll shake the stars. The crew's nods were all Adrian needed. They knew the stakes. Every breath, every heartbeat. Full disguise now, he ordered. Maria flipped switches. James turned knobs. Jonas punched keys. They became the enemy, at least to their sensors and patrols. Approaching the mothership. There it was. The mothership loomed ahead, huge, armed to the teeth, a monster of war and death. But inside, their own, trapped, waiting for rescue, waiting for them. Stay calm. Act like you belong, Adrian whispered. We do this for humanity, for our brothers and sisters in chains. The scout ship slid into the mothership's hangar, silent as space itself. They moved out, weapons hidden, hearts pounding. Every step showed human strength. This was why humans should never be crossed. The battle within. Navigating the mothership. The Zyper ship vibrated with life. Boots hammered the metal floors as Adrian led the team down a cramped hallway. Pipes and wires lined the walls, humming with power. The team wore stolen Zyper armor to hide their human bodies. Maria's eyes met Adrian's, communicating silently. They had penetrated deep into the Zyper base. They passed Zyper soldiers, massive in size compared to the humans. The aliens ignored the disguised team. Adrian's hand hovered near his hidden gun, ready to draw. Finding the prisoners. They turned deeper into the ship, closer to the core where the prisoners worked. Heat grew heavy. The stench of molten metal and sweat filled the stale air. Hammer strikes and muffled cries echoed ahead, the sound of their captured people. They entered the overlook unnoticed. Below, humans chipped at rock with crude tools. Harsh lights bathed the cavernous dig site. Adrian's fists tightened at the sight of the exhausted prisoners. Neil was among them. A desperate plan. Jonas directed Adrian's gaze to two angry Zyper officers, mandibles clicking rapidly. Adrian understood enough of their language. They disagreed about an ancient weapon buried below. This was the tool they forced the humans to unearth. Rage brooded in Adrian, but he kept it controlled. This went beyond a simple rescue. It was about stopping a power that could destabilize the galaxy. We know where they are. We need to free them and end this dig. Adrian spoke firmly, but quietly. Maria nodded, eyes fierce. We need a distraction. I can cause a grid failure. Draw the guards away. James held a stolen control device. I can set it off from here. Executing the plan. Their planning halted as a patrol passed by. The Zyper remained oblivious to the infiltrating humans. James worked the stolen tech with steady hands. Alarms blared. Lights flickered erratically. Zyper scrambled to respond. This was the opening needed. Adrian's team quickly made their way to the dig site, blending into the chaotic herd. They descended unseen, finding the weary prisoners. At the sight of the team, hope and strength filled the miners. Tools became weapons. The Zyper control slipped away in the turmoil. The humans planted explosives unnoticed. The escape. Adrian led his brother and the others back through the ship corridors. A blast shook the ship as they reached the exit. The excavator was destroyed, buried deep under stone and debris. The ancient weapon would remain lost. They had made it back to the scout ship, free and ready to return home. Adrian watched the Zyper ship fade into the distance, a reminder of human resilience. The Zyper had learned that injuring humans brought severe consequences. Adrian and his crew would ensure the lesson stuck. The aftermath. Returning to Siri, the mothership hummed with a dangerous rhythm. Inside, Adrian and his team hid in the gloom. Only the faint glow of the alien screens lit the room. Maria's fingers darted skillfully across the controls. "Virus is set," she whispered. The words were almost lost under the hum, but they held a huge weight. The virus would throw the ship into turmoil. Each line of code poisoned more systems, built by oppressed hands for destruction. Setting the virus, Adrian watched over Maria's shoulder as she loaded the program onto a small pad. It looked ordinary, but its contents would kill the mothership's systems. Jonas's device beeped with a coded message from the human miners below. Jonas's brow furrowed as he decoded it. "They've got explosives," he told Adrian. His voice was steady, but his eyes blazed with fear and hope. Adrian nodded, thinking fast. A new plan formed. Timing was everything. "We use the virus to blow their systems," Adrian said, his eyes piercing the gloom and meeting each one of them. "Then we get to the mines. We trigger the explosives with Neil and the others. It's our shot to hit them inside and out." Executing the plan, the team understood the stakes, the coming storm, the silent tremor before the quake. Silent communication passed between them, nods and gestures that said everything. The Zyper came closer to unearthing the buried tech that could not fall into their claws. In stolen armor, they blended with a hive of activity. James carried the virus pad, cold metal so ordinary looking. They reached the core, a cavernous room of screens and consoles. Zyper operators worked diligently, unaware of the danger among them. Maria gave the signal with a brush of her hand. James stepped forward, practiced and natural. He slotted the pad into the main console, a perfect fit. The chaos unleashed. The virus exploded into the systems. Screens flickered, alarms wailed. Zyper scrambled in confusion, chattering in their strange tongue. Routines shattered. The team slipped away, unseen. They became shadows and whispers. Adrian's pulse raced as they boarded a small craft, engines firing up without notice. They dived for the Zyper heart below. The mine sprawled like an open wound. Adrian saw the moving figures, dragging tools. Unbroken. His team was ready, unseen as they landed and exited. A miner caught Adrian's eye. Silent recognition. Readiness. Weary but unbroken, ready to rise. The team moved among them with purpose, whispered instructions, shared glances of hope and rebellion. The miners gripped tools, ready to turn them against captors above. The crippled mothership loomed below, its fate sealed by the hands it sought to control. The explosion. At Adrian's silent nod, it began. Explosions tore through the rubble. Zyper screams and mine collapse roared as one. The symphony of their destruction. Excavation halted. The humans moved through the chaos, chains shattered, fleeing with Adrian's team to the transport, leaving the crippled Zyper operation and ancient power unclaimed. Adrian looked back as they ascended, a stark testament to human resolve. They had struck a resonant blow. The Zyper had underestimated them. A fatal error. Adrian made sure of it. The summit, facing the Zyper leadership. The ear-splitting alarm screamed through the Zyper mothership. The screens flashed angry red warning signs. Adrian's team felt excited because their stolen uniforms had masked them. The virus they unleashed paralyzed the enemy ship, leaving doors unguarded and halls dim. Adrian led the silent but fast charge, their steps quiet on the metal floor. Each turn brought them closer to the cells. The virus hid them from sensors, but not from eyes. They had to stay focused. They were shadows on a hunt for freedom. The rescue. The cell block was pure mayhem. The guards grabbed their heads in confusion, useless screens, and dead comms surrounding them. The prisoners were confused by the chaos but ready to get out. The team blasted the locks and opened the doors. Neil was the last one out, sharing a meaningful look with his brother, Adrian. They had to move fast. Adrian led the ragtag crew of former miners, now soldiers, towards the ship bay. Noise rang out behind them, the sound of a trap closing in. The rebel Zyper knew and wanted their human tools back. Adrian's group ran into the massive bay filled with ships for conquest. They picked the nearest armored carrier and boarded. As the miners climbed in, his soldiers guarded the entrance, ready to fight back. Zyper warriors charged into the bay, firing and dodging in a deadly dance. Humans took cover behind crates, shooting back with skill from their first stand on Siri. This time, they stood as equals in the fight. The escape. Adrian remained strong with his crew, protecting the miners as they prepared for launch. Maria worked frantically at the controls. The Zyper closed in but were no match for the defenders' resolve. The ship's engines roared to life, drowning out the screams and shots. "Go!" Adrian yelled over the noise. His team retreated to the ship, leaving stunned Zyper behind. The ramp slammed shut with a metallic bang. Adrian joined Maria in the cockpit. The ship tore away from the mothership's grip. Enemy fire pelted the shields, but the ship held. Homeward bound. Adrian gripped the console, glancing at Neil, then the view screen. They had made it. The mothership faded behind them, lost in its own chaos. Their escape sliced through space, a sign of human strength. This was the day humans showed the galaxy why they should never be tested. The cockpit shook as projectiles flew past. Adrian gripped the controls, maneuvering sharply. "Send that distress call now," he ordered Maria. Her fingers pounded the console, desperately signaling for help. The carrier shuddered as a shot grazed the shields. Sparks lit the tense crew. Explosions rumbled below, the miners at work. The planet itself shook with their blasts. Adrian dove the ship toward the excavation. Blinding fire filled the viewport as his gunner obliterated a Zyper cruiser. "Reinforcements." "They got the signal," Maria shouted over alarms. "Help is coming." The ancient site crumbled under the bombardment. Zyper fighters attacked in waves, sloppy with fear, but Adrian's crew was ready. James's guns ripped through a dive-bombing jet. It erupted and crashed below. They wove through blasts and wrecks. The ground cracked from the miner bombs. A hit rocked the console. "Shields 20% left," Maria reported. "Prep for drill echo," Adrian ordered. He spiraled low, skimming the surface, dodging enemy shots. Proximity alarms screamed as Zyper pilots risked close passes, trying to clip their wings. But Adrian was stubborn, clinging to life. The planet was flying apart. Escape was closing. "Any word?" Adrian asked hoarsely. "Not yet," Maria replied. "The final push." Adrian weighed each life aboard. He refused to let them become space debris. "We can't wait." "Punch through the atmosphere," he decided. The crew steeled themselves. Their bullet of a ship charged on as the planet crumbled behind. Stars appeared as they escaped the atmosphere. The battered hull groaned. Adrian pushed harder. Finally, static crackled. Vengeance responding. "Hold on, we're almost there." Adrian didn't smile, but relief flooded him just a little longer. Survive a bit more. Fight a little harder. Never anger humans. The aftermath. Return to safety. The ground heaved underneath their feet. A miner panicked, eyes wide with fear. He slammed the detonator too soon. Charges erupted deep in the planet's guts. The first blast was deep and rumbled through the tunnels. More blasts followed. Rock bucked, machines screamed in protest, gears grinding. Dust clouds spewed in all directions. Above, enemy ships swarmed angrily, but the planet's turmoil tossed them wildly. Ships broke formation, some colliding, others spinning off course as pilots fought to regain control. Adrian saw it all through the cockpit window. An enemy ship exploded into a fireball. He grabbed the throttle, veins bulging in his forearms, eyes darted to the gauges. "Hold it together," he urged the groaning ship. Flames licked the hull, but his grip stayed firm, fingers white. The final escape. The former miners, now passengers, clung to anything stable. A woman braced against a bulkhead. A man gripped his seat so hard his knuckles turned bone white. Behind them, the planet heaved violently. An enemy ship veered too close and shattered against a plume of rock and fire. Maria's shout cut through the chaos. Engines redlining. "Push it," Adrian commanded firmly. "Get us clear." She nodded once, resolute, and shoved the power lever forward. The ship groaned in protest, straining every bolt. Gauges climbed. The hull rattled dangerously. Escape hung by a thread. The view screen filled with the planet's violent death throes. No time to watch. Every second meant life or death. Through the chaos, an opening appeared. Adrian saw it, a sliver of safety. He aimed the ship at it. Engines screamed in effort. He ignored the heat, the tremors, the warnings. "Come on," he urged the straining ship, voice rough with determination. Space opened up, cold, black, calm. The shaking eased, the roar faded. They were free. The crew exhaled together in relief and disbelief. The planet shrank behind them, breaking apart with a final violent burst. A shared victory. On the screens, enemy ships scrambled away from the dying planet. Neil and Adrian locked eyes. A nod passed between them, wordless. They'd survived together, as humans do. Adrian's battered ship limped through the barrage, dodging debris and shooting back. The engines screamed, alarms blared. "Danger, easy prey out here." "Where are they?" Adrian yelled over the noise, hands locked on the controls. Maria scanned the flickering screens. "Signals out. They have to come." A shadow blotted the stars overhead. The miners froze, clothes wet with sweat and fear, eyes up. "Vengeance here. Hold on." Sarah's voice crackled through the radio. The newcomer fired a protective barrage, pounding the pursuit. Adrian's ragged ship edged toward the Terran Vengeance. "Get ready to dock. It'll be tight," Adrian said. The Vengeance's bay doors opened wide, ready to swallow them from the battle. Adrian eased the battered ship into alignment, a perfect entry despite the shaky hands and wild readings. Metal clanged as magnetic locks sealed them in. Everyone breathed deep, the ships, the crews, the rescued miners. Relief spread fast, though their chests heaved from more than exertion. They survived. A new beginning. The miners watched through the windows as the Vengeance's guns blazed. Their battered ship was safe now. More than metal and firepower, a promise kept, a commitment honored. "See that?" Neil murmured, eyes wide. "That's us. A human," a miner whispered back, voice newly strong. Their spirits stitched back together, bound by the sight of the Vengeance tearing through space to stand with its own. The humans exchanged silent, unanimous pledges. "We fight for each other, always." The Zyper ship floated through the blackness, all scratched up and flickering. Inside, the huge room quieted as commanders and planners whispered. They stood uneasy in a circle under the weak safety lights. They eyed each other, sensing the power shift. The commander stepped up, his jaws clicked fast, distressed. "The humans hurt more than us. They crushed the rebels. We need new ideas on who's weak." Murmurs rippled through the group. Another in fancy robes rose, high in rank. "The humans fight crazy strong compared to their chill history." Eyes bounced around. A young officer stood. "Maybe we should respect humans. Ask them to join us, not fight them." Agreeing and disagreeing whispers blended together. They split into smaller huddles, voices rising and falling. The thick air held their big unmade choices. Rebuilding. Rebuilding the colony. Adrian landed his boots on Ceres' dusty ground as the ship's ramp lowered down. He walked out and had to squint from the harsh sunlight. The workers stopped and stared at him. They quickly recognized him. Murmurs started growing louder as cheers. The people crowded Adrian, clapping his back and shaking his hand excitedly. "You did it, you crazy guy," a broad miner with a grimy face shouted. "Yeah, you spun those aliens till they were dizzy. Another one yelled with laughter all around. Adrian found Neil in the crowd. They looked at each other for a moment before Neil stepped up and hugged him tightly. "Couldn't have made it without you, brother," Neil said. Adrian nodded. "We stick together. That's what humans do." Celebration and reflection. The crowd came forward, bringing what food and drink they could share. Tables were set up fast as more miners and people from nearby came to join the party. Adrian stood up on a makeshift platform. Everyone went quiet and looked to him. "We faced tough odds and brutal enemies, but stood strong." Adrian spoke loudly for all to hear. It wasn't one guy. It was every miner who fought back, every soldier who battled, and every one of us who believe in what we can do together. Loud cheers broke out with fists pumping the air. Kids ran around, mimicking ship moves with whooshing sounds. They were too young to know the costs and losses, but their joy was pure and catching.